Welcome to Reality Check, where we decode the drama, debunk the myths, and deep dive into mental health matters portrayed on the TV screen. My name is Selena.
Hi, I'm Jacqueline.
Welcome. And what are we talking about today, Jacqueline?
We will be talking about the Gilmore Girls. It is past fall, but still fallish in my mind. And I just feel like we really need to talk about the dynamic between Rory and Lorelai and how it's a fairy tale goal to have for a mother and daughter relationship. But if you really take a deep dive into their relationship and watch the show or series, you will find out it is actually not a good goal to have. So, those of you who have not watched it or do not know, the Gilmore Girls, Rory is the daughter and Lorelai is the mom. Rory's actual name is Lorelai. Lorelai named her after her. And the father is Chris. He is not in the life, but he comes and goes when needed or as needed. But there's a main man named Luke. He's at a diner, and that's their coffee shop, and that's where the girls go and have their bonding moment and hang out. Rory is big into books. Lorelai is big into playing the single life / being a entrepreneur, but I was gonna say manager at the end. She's like an innkeeper because she eventually has her own business. Her and Suki, the chef, they go into one. But to narrow in on Rory and Lorelai, Lorelai has the rule of no guys can come home. Remember, she's a single mom. She has to go to the guys. And Rory is growing up in that household, watching a lot of people come and go, which can be traumatic to a child. Selena?
Do we want to talk about why we're doing the Gilmore Girls?
Yes. Why are we doing the Gilmore Girls? Because it's fall, I said.
Oh, it's fall? Is this like a fall?
In my head. It's a holiday episode. So it's like kind of goes with fall-y, winter. Laura really likes snow. She has a sixth sense. She can just feel when it's going to be snowing. And she is always right.
Gilmore Girls is like is your Die Hard. It's your Christmas movie. You know how people say that Die Hard is a Christmas movie?
Yeah, I don't get that, but yes.
I guess there's a scene where it's Christmas. I don't know. People say it's a Christmas movie, but I guess Gilmore Girls is your Christmas movie. Yeah. That's why we're doing this.
Yes, November 1st through December is when Gilmore Girls is on in my house.
Nice. So it's a holiday movie for Jacqueline.
and my daughter. My daughter is obsessed with it, and we love it.
Yes. Love it. Everyone, yeah. So, after watching a few videos, kind of jogging my memory about the dynamics of Rory and Lorelai, the first thing I think it's important to mention about when we're like deconstructing the dynamics between the relationship is that Lorelai was a teen mom. I know the storyline picks up when Rory's a teen, but I think it's something to know that there's only a 16-year difference. So it does make the dynamic of the mother-daughter relationship different because in a way they're both growing up together. Like your frontal lobe is not fully developed until you're 25. This is where like all your emotional reasoning is. So like when you have a teenager who's 16 raising an infant who's still learning like emotional regulation and still is very self-absorbed because teenagers are self-absorbed. They think a lot about themselves. Raising a baby, that's really hard.
That is.
Yeah. And she's doing it on her own, right? Lorelai moves to Stars Hollow. One great thing about Stars Hollow is like that community is like her family. So she's kind of created a new family. She doesn't really talk to her parents that much. I'm not really sure what the backstory is when Rory was a baby. But her parents, she left, but we don't know like how involved grandparents were.
None. She chose not to involve them because they were very controlling.
Yes.
And
And
she didn't want to
so,
owe them any money.
right. And so their relationship as it goes on with the grandparents is very transactional, right? You come to Friday night dinners, we'll pay for Chilton. That's the name of the school that she goes to. Yeah, we'll pay for Chilton. So it's, in some ways, Lorelai tries to reverse that and have a very open relationship with her daughter, whereas like her relationship with her mother, Emily, was very rigid. And so we find that a lot in people, that they'll try to swing the pendulum the other way and try to do the opposite of what their parents have done, which is not always necessarily a bad thing. However, I think there needs to be some sort of balance. One of the things that I think is important, well, let me pause. Do you have any thoughts about the teen mom Lorelai Emily relationship?
It's very hard for me to have a thought because I've watched it maybe 40 times, probably 50. And fun fact is, I actually didn't like it until the past 3 to 4 years. Something in me was like, let's just give it a shot. And I love it. But my thought about that, what was the question?
Talking about teen mom Emily Lorelai relationship, and then like
Yes.
the just opposite of what.
Yeah. It's hard for me because I understand what Lorelai did. I understand she's an adult. Like you said, they feel like they know everything at this moment in time. She's 16. She wanted to raise it on her own. She didn't want any help. We find out in later episodes the dad actually tried marrying her. She said no.
Mm-hmm.
She ran away. She left a note and said, "Hey, I'll talk to you later." And she was in labor. She just left. And they were like, they ran into the hospital and was like, "You're in labor and you didn't tell us?" But she was a very free spirited individual. She, like her dream was to go hiking. I don't know, Rome, Italy, one of them. She wanted to go hiking and do all that, backpacking. But her parents are very tight knit. So I understand her wanting to branch out. I understand her wanting to leave, but I just don't feel like she should have with that baby, Rory, only because it's like you said, there's only a 16-year-old gap. There's, that frontal lobe is not fully formed. And she did do a lot of selfish things that she thought at that time was right, but I don't think she realized she took the joy of being a grandma and grandpa from someone, which they say your parents spoil your grandkids, which is true, because they're re-loving you again. It's like they get a second chance to really love you again, all over again. And they get to enjoy those milestones that they enjoyed with you. So I don't feel like she should have ran away. I don't feel like she should have done what she did, but there was something inside her that felt trapped and caged and controlled. And Lorelai does not like to be trapped, caged, or controlled. She is a free spirited individual, go to the beat of her own drum. But I do see that with Rory, even though Rory is not trapped or caged, she's a little bit controlled by Lorelai in a different way than what Emily did, because her controlling is, I don't want you sleeping around like I did and got knocked up. I don't want you doing this like I did. I didn't want to do the Chilton ball. Why are you wanting to do it? Like she's doing what you said, swinging that pendulum the other way. And I just feel like her experience was bad in her opinion, not good, but she should at least give Rory the shot of doing all those things. She does. She lets her do it. She's not telling her no, but you can really see her persuasion towards it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think parents naturally want to protect their kids and try to like keep them from the same experiences. And that you can't always do that.
No.
And You're like, no. Someone's speaking from experience of being a parent.
Yes, you cannot. Kids,
Mhm.
they learn. They'll do it. They'll do what they want. But I think with the relationship of the Lorelai and Rory thing, Rory grew up with Lorelai. To my understanding, there were no kids around. So Rory grew up with all adults. And I don't really think she had a chance to be a kid.
Yes. Let's talk about that. So, I think so I wrote that like Lorelai in my notes, I wrote that Lorelai is pretty immature at times. And then there are times
Lorelai?
Lorelai.
Yeah.
And then
Mhm.
Rory has to be the one to like reason or like get her to like calm down or walk off the ledge.
Mhm.
Um, and I think because Rory, I think growing up with a mother who's a teen mom, and not to say that this is the case for everyone, but in this instance, I think Rory had to become mature very early on. Because I imagine they were, and I'm filling in the gaps here. I imagine they were like really struggling at the first. Like, how does a 16-year-old pay for an apartment? Right? She
She
gets that
didn't.
story at the end, right?
Mhm.
She works at the end. She works her like ass off, but that doesn't come with just like a free emotional ticket of like everything's gonna be hunky dory. No, like you have a 16-year-old who's literally in survival mode raising an infant. So then if you take that infant and that infant grows up, that infant then learns to like, I have to be mature to survive. I need to grow up fast too because we're both growing up together and this is really scary. And so Roy learns how to be book smart. She learns how to be the mature one. At times she's caring for her mother. She is being the mother in this
Yes.
relationship. And I think that happens several times, whether it's Lorelai is being immature or, the relationships, when Lorelai's in and out of relationships, Rory is there to pick up the pieces. That's when it becomes unhealthy, is when your child is then becoming the parent to the parent.
That hit deep. That's when it became unhealthy, is when the child has to be the parent to the parent.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Why is that so unhealthy?
Because it's not the role of the parent. The child is still developing. The child is still like learning how to be a person. A parent's role is to guide and to teach a child how to do life. And when you have a child raising a child, it's really hard to do that. And so these two, when I say they like grew up together, they're like figuring out life together, and so they come off. I think this so romanticized version of a parent relationship is like, oh, they're best friends.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, they might be really close, and I'm not saying that closeness and that openness that they have is bad, but I think when Rory becomes the parent or becomes the confidant and Lorelai is telling her about her love life, that's when it becomes not healthy. You're no longer a parent in that role because you're using your child as like a therapist or your best friend or what have you, but that's your child. The role of the child is to learn from the parent, not the parent from the child in that way. And so Rory takes on like a parental role. There was a time where she was at Harvard or Chilton, and something happened with Lorelai and Luke, and they broke up, and Rory left school to like go be with
Yes.
her.
She's
Right? Like
done that
she's
twice.
leaving her education, her
Mm-hmm.
child life to go care for her parent because her parent can't handle it on her own. That is when the child is becoming the parent. That's not
And
fair
that
to Rory.
and that's when it becomes unhealthy.
Yes, that's when it becomes unhealthy because your child is not your therapist.
Mm-hmm.
Your child
Yeah.
is not your best friend first. Your child is your child first, then your best friend. I'm not saying you can't be friends, and that dynamic will definitely change as you get older. You might
Right.
become more of a friend, but at the end of the day, when it comes to boundaries and parenting, you are a parent first before you are your child's best friend.
Yes, there are 2 or 3 scenes throughout the series that I can recall where Lorelai actually has to say, I am no longer your friend here. I am being your parent. You cannot whatever the thing she wanted to do was. And you can see Rory did not know how to handle that. She was like, what? Why? Like, I don't get it. You're not making sense. We do this, we blah, 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 and now this? And she's like, I'm doing it for the best. Like, you just can't, okay? And it broke Lorelai. Lorelai was crying because I think that one of the first times she had to be a strict parent and actually had to get on her. She did get very lucky with Rory being the smart one, being pretty much independent and making good choices on her own without, worrying about her getting into trouble.
Yes. So to your point of like when the scenes are, I'm not being your best friend right now, I have to be your mom, and Rory is so confused by that. Those are some pretty unclear boundaries. Right?
Yes.
Like the child doesn't know how to react to that because wait a minute, you're my friend and now you're being my mom. So now it's hard for me to trust and to listen to you because you're changing how you're approaching this relationship. The dynamics become very confusing for the child.
Absolutely. It became very confusing for her to the point that the director, well, the show, I don't know how you want to say that, made it to where they wouldn't talk until the very end of the show. Then they would come together and you could see them say, hey, I like your shirt, or like, okay. And then she's like, I'm sorry, Mom, I didn't mean to. And she's like, no, I'm sorry. But if you watch it, to my recollection, Rory is always the first to apologize. Rory is always the first to say, no, I'm sorry. And she's like, no, don't be sorry. I am. And then they hug it out. Fun fact, real quick. They went to a speech teacher, and she taught them how to talk fast because that was their role. They had to talk so many words per minute.
Mm.
That's why they chit chat back and forth. But anyways, that's a fun fact.
Fun fact.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. But yeah, so with that being said, I do want to dive a little bit, not a lot, into Rory's love life along with Lorelai's lives, because, and I'm probably jumping the gun here, but she met this guy, Dean. Dean liked her. I mean, it's so funny because TikTok has really taken off with this like stalker murdering thing, and if you really get to know Dean, he should have never approached Rory because he's like, I see you, I watched you, I know your every move. Is your name Rory? And she's like, yeah, why not? Like, I love you. And I'm over here like, that's not good. But no, I just want to dive into it because kind of in the middle seasons, she met Jess, who's the bad boy. You have to have a good guy and bad guy. And she openly cheated on Dean with Jess, and then cheated on Jess, and then cheated on her next man, and her next man, and her next man, and it goes on. And she also, when Dean said, I love you, she couldn't say anything. She ran away and lied to her mom and said they broke up.
And so look at her examples of what relationships look like.
Well,
Lorelai hasn't had successful relationships. And I say that to
she self-sabotages hers.
yes. Cheating is a form of self-sabotage. So when Rory cheats on Dean with Jess, like that's a form of self-sabotage because she had a great relationship with him. And towards the end, if I'm remembering correctly, like he didn't trust her because he was like jealous of Jess, but like apparently he had every right to because she was liking him. But I think Lorelai shows similar patterns in the like the wishy-washiness and like the not being able to commit and the instability in her relationships. Like they have very similar relationships, like father, like mother.
They do. I guess I feel like everyone should realize that a Gilmore Girls relationship is not an ideal one. Honestly, and this could be wrong, I feel like a good relationship or a decent one would be what Emily and Lorelai have. Only because you know the boundaries, you know what is to be expected of one another. People don't like Emily. I did not like Emily towards the end when she was sabotaging Luke and hers relationship. because she so badly wanted Chris to be married to Lorelai, because Chris's kid is Rory. And Emily's picture was that, my kid grows up, she has a baby, she's married to the dad, and it's a hunky-dory family. We live in this great house. Well, Lorelai's picture is a lot different, and hers is not like that. She likes being independent.
I don't think Lorelai and Emily have a good relationship at all. It's very surface level. It's very transactional. Yes, you know the boundaries, but it's not emotionally connected. It's based off of like what you can do for me and what I can do for you. There's love there, but it's like transactional love. It's like love
Yeah,
within certain confines.
I agree, but you can see moments where Emily wants the love. Lorelai is not letting her in. Emily cried when she found out that Lorelai was engaged. Lorelai came to dinner with Rory. They had their dinner and they left. She didn't tell her she was engaged. And then Lorelai had a big freak out moment. Max was the guy at the time. A big freak out moment, and they went to Emily's house unannounced. Rang the doorbell, went in, and Lorelai was like, "Do you not care, Mom? I told you I was engaged. Do you not care?" Because she told her she was engaged 3 days later, after the dinner. So equaled up to 4 to 5 days after she actually got engaged. And Emily sat there, and Emily goes, "You know what, Lorelai? How would you respond if Rory's friends called you asking you to come to an engagement party that you knew nothing about?" She's like, "I wasn't there at the birth. I wasn't there for any of Rory's life. And you are keeping me out. You're calling me mean names. You're telling me I'm controlling. You're telling me I'm this." And she's like, "I just want to be a part of your life." She said that several times throughout the series. "I want to be a part of your life." And Lorelai pushes her out and sabotages her. Not her, their relationship.
I think it's an and both. I don't think I still stand by my statement of I don't think the relationship is healthy. And sure, Emily might want the relationship, and Lorelai definitely is like this push and pull, like I don't want you involved, but I want you involved, kind of back and forth. But to my knowledge, Emily hasn't made like a solid repair. Like based on what we
No.
see on the screen, she hasn't made a repair, right? "I apologize for pushing you into a certain direction when you were younger. I apologize for leaving you. I should have reached out more when that baby was little. Like I had money, I could have ordered had a
Mm-hmm.
PI come and find you. Like come on. Like if you really wanted to be in contact with this daughter, like you could have." So there was no repair made, and so we can't just I think a lot of children of parents, just because we've grown up and things have happened in the past doesn't mean that it still doesn't hurt. And so we
Mm-hmm.
carry that hurt with us. And if there's no repair, a lot of parents are like, "Oh, let's just pretend like that never happened and everything is fine and hunky-dory and we're one big happy family." And the child is like, "No, I'm not ready to let that go yet because you haven't actually owned your piece of it." And so they're Lorelai wants her mom to be involved, but then doesn't because it hurts when she is. So she's very much back and forth. I'm not saying that's healthy by any means, but both of them are in an unhealthy dynamic in their relationship, and they really should sit down and go to therapy together. Talk about that.
Yeah, they should definitely sit down and go to therapy. They should also sit down and have a serious talk. But no matter what, her parents have her back. No matter what. There was a scene where Chris was in the picture, and Emily arranged it to where Chris's parents were over, and Lorelai brought Chris, and his parents were there, and it brought up, like you said, because no one talked about it, old feelings. And it brought up to his parents are blaming her for getting pregnant, and her parents aren't blaming anyone. They're like, "It happened, it happened. We just have to accept and move on." And it became a fight, and Richard, the grandpa, Lorelai's dad, stood up and got in the other guy's face and was like, "You are not going to talk about my daughter that way." And got red and yelled and protected. And at the end of the scene, Lorelai went into the office and was like, Dad, like with watery eyes, thank you, like speechless, like couldn't believe he did that for her. And he looked at her and he said, I didn't do it for you. I did it for the Gilmore family, because he was tearing down the Gilmore name.
But so then it's not about her anymore. It's about him and his pride.
Yeah, because every time he tried to like help her do something, she would push him away. So he's, I think, doing what she is doing. Like, don't do this, don't do this. And then at the end of it, to her face, it's about the Gilmores. But what he told the guy was, don't bash my daughter.
Right. And so, again, the child pushes away the parent when there's no trust.
Right.
So her parents have never been a safe place for her.
I don't think they've ever been a safe place, but I do see some scenes of them trying. And
sure, I think, most parents try in their own ways and still can miss the mark.
yeah,
And
I
in this
think
case, they missed the mark.
they do. They miss the mark, but I still stand by the fact that she should try and let them in. She should try and see what happens if she let them in. Maybe if she let them in, it wouldn't be what you say transaction type deal. Maybe if she did let them in, they would be like, no, we can do dinners. No, we don't have to do Fridays. Like, no, we've been in Rory's life this entire time. I will help you no matter what.
Yes, I think the relationship has potential. Well, both need to learn to trust each other. The Lorelai and Emily / dad relationship need to learn to trust each other and make repairs and work on that, because I think they both care about each other, but there's no trust there, so that's when it becomes transactional.
Yeah.
Like we're only like touching the surface of things. We're not actually getting close to each other because we want to, but like there's so much stuff in the past that hasn't been worked through that they just can't. And so there's that hot and cold. It's both of them.
All of them. Yeah. I can see that. I just don't know, the whole Rory, because Rory sees it all go down. I mean, there's several scenes of Rory sitting there picking at her peas or her lettuce.
Mhm.
And in the kitchen, you can hear the mom crying. When I say mom, I mean Lorelai, crying to Emily. You this, you that, like all past stuff. It's all past. It's never what's going on in the moment. It's all past. And
Mhm.
Emily's like, okay, I was a bad mom. Okay, I was, this, and that. Sue me, murder. Like, what do you want to do with me, But we're here now. We have Rory. Like, what do you want to do about this situation? Like, that's one thing about Lorelai is she goes to the past for so much. Like, she can't move forward.
Oh,
I do want to go back to Rory and Lorelai.
okay. Let's go back to Lori and Rory. Lori
Yeah.
and Lorelai
Mm-hmm.
and Rory, or Lorelai and Lorelai, depending.
Yeah. Yes. What besides her raising her as a 16-year-old and not being the mom parent, being the best friend, do you feel like Rory turned out to be a good kid?
That is a loaded question. What is a good kid? I think, you know,
What is a good kid?
I think, I don't remember like the new episodes. I know that she like gets pregnant and like the newer
Remember,
episode.
we're on camera.
Spoiler alert. I know, I'm trying to remember. This is me tunnel visioning. um, I think she is. She's doing the best she can. I think in the terms of the good child, as like she's successful, she figured out her career, she did the whole college thing, figured it out eventually. I still think, based off of what I remember, struggles with healthy relationships. So she could go to therapy for that. Overall, she's not doing great. I mean, she's not doing horrible, but she also has like room for improvement, like most humans. I don't. Whether
Yeah,
she turned out good or not, I think is a hard question to answer.
I feel like she's a good kid. I feel like she's a kid. She cheats, you know. She didn't realize that was wrong, and then when she got to adult age, she knew it was wrong, and she
She didn't
kept doing
realize
it.
it was
But
wrong. I think she knew it was wrong.
I don't know. Well, at that moment, she was confused, right? Her hormones were going, and she's like, "Why?" And she even had a talk with Lane. I like him, and I like him. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, what direction do I go? You know what I mean? And they had a checklist. It was cute. Lane was like, okay, pros and cons on him and pros and cons on him, you know? And it's like, that's what every girl I feel like does when they're, or guy, when they're tied with liking two people at the same time. So I feel like the cheating thing at that adolescent life was, you know, I don't want to say forgiven, but just more accepted versus her older age when she literally cheats on the guys she was with in college, which I can't remember their names. But yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, because at the very end she is pregnant.
Yeah, she is pregnant.
Yeah.
And it's a full circle moment because, except she's not 16. She's probably like 25 at that age.
Yeah.
But
And they,
full circle, now she's pregnant.
well, it's
Doing
a
her
really
mom
big
good.
full circle because she did everything that, and this is probably going to start fights, but she did everything that Lorelai did not do. Okay. So she went to Chilton. She did the ball, the coming out ball. So I'm just trying to say, like, Rory did everything Lorelai did not do. She is the complete opposite of Lorelai. But the full circle of that is she did everything that her mom and that Emily and Richard wanted Lorelai to do. And no matter what, Rory still got pregnant and is not married and it's speculations on who the baby daddy is. But I'm just saying that's that full circle is they went two different paths but still met at the same way.
Yes. Which, if you like, again, I come back to the not being shown what a healthy relationship is. So Lorelai was never given what does a healthy relationship look like. Rory was never given a healthy relationship. So Lorelai found herself pregnant at 16 for whatever reasons. Rory found herself pregnant. Speculations on who the dad is, right? Like, I don't know if the relationship, I can't remember, was it unhealthy? It was like a tumultuous relationship towards the end, wasn't it?
For
Rory,
before
she got pregnant, she was like kind
no
of
one
in
knows who
between
the
two
baby daddy
guys.
is. It's
Yeah, so like, if you don't know who the baby daddy is, it's because you're like dating two people at once, and there's
it's
like
speculations that it's what's his name?
John Malcolm-Murray, or is that him?
No. He was Tristan. He was the school. So Dean is the adolescent boyfriend. Tristan is the like I want you boyfriend, but she never dated him. She just kissed him. And then there was Jess, and then after Jess, the guy called her Ace. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, also kind of looks like Chad Malcolm-Murray, but not
Yes,
Harvard
that
Chad
guy.
Malcolm-Murray.
So that guy was Dean and Jess mixed in one because also mixed with Tristan because he had the looks of Tristan. He had the love for Rory like Dean, and he had that bad boy image like Jess. So he was honestly, and he had money. Not like she's after money, but he had money. Oh, it's speculations on who the baby daddy is. They don't know if it's him or Jess. They have no idea because Jess came into the picture towards the end to show her a book that he had written and published, and she's like, I'll read it, yeah, and then yeah, I'm gonna look that
So
up.
still not a healthy relationship. Towards the
Not
end,
at
like
all.
not knowing how to have a healthy relationship. So you will fall into that pattern of your like you don't know what you don't know. She's never been given a healthy relationship, and so she's ending in the same
Logan.
different Logan. Yeah. Logan is his name. She's still ending up in the same, a little bit different situation. She's a little bit farther into life, more established in her career than her mom, but same situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like being pregnant and not knowing what to do and not having a good relationship with whoever the dad is.
Yes. Yes.
Patterns,
So,
family cycles will repeat if you don't fix them.
yeah. There's always a pattern.
Mm-hmm. So
You just have to find it.
I think the big thing to take away is like, you are not your child's best friend. This is a very glamorized, very Hollywood version of what a parent-daughter relationship looks like. And you should make repairs if you can. And go to therapy to learn how to have a healthy relationship so that you don't pass it on to your daughter and she doesn't pass it on to her kid.
Another takeaway with this is let the kid be a kid and the kid should not be a parent.
Yes, absolutely. When you have this best friend relationship, the boundaries become unclear whose role is what. Yeah.
All right. That brings us to a good ending.
Yay! We did Gilmore Girls. You're welcome, Jacqueline.
I love Gilmore Girls.
Our next few episodes will be holiday Christmas movies deconstructed, so stay tuned. As always, just because I'm a therapist does not mean that I am your therapist. Please seek therapy if you need it. Make sure you like and subscribe. Follow us on YouTube as well. And we would love to hear your feedback. This has been Reality Check.
Bye.
Bye.